I am going to class explain axiology before you. The connection was uh, uh, constantly causing trouble and there was interruption. So I thought of sending you a brief voice note of axiology, and that would actually be the end of the chapter number 1 that we have started reading. So do prepare this chapter for a quiz tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. In this branch of philosophy, axiology actually deals with the problem of values and standards. And remember that the problem of values and standards has been one of the serious matters that human beings have been reflecting on for centuries. So, what is the meaning of life? What is the value of certain actions and certain things? Why certain things are valued more than the other things? What is itself value? What is value? And how can it be defined? What do you consider as the most valuable possession of your life, whether your parents or your family or your friends or your money or your house, the home that you live in, that you possess, or what? So these are actually the questions of values and standards, and they are considered as axiological concerns in philosophy. Um, a part of it actually pertains to what the author has termed as the fulfillment of desire or the needs of a person. So things are valuable for us as far as they are important for my needs and for the fulfillment of my desires. But in philosophical terms, values are thought to be neither general nor universal. Scientific results are repeatable and are the same for everyone, but philosophy does not have that characteristic by virtue of which it may be able to conceive the same system of values. तो फिर उसके बाद वैल्यूज को वो किस तरीके से डिफाइन करते हैं ऑथर एक्चुअली हैज डिफाइंड वैल्यू अंडर 3 हेड्स नंबर 1 is truth, beauty, and number 1 is truth, number 2 beauty, and number 3 goodness. So truth actually pertains to the validity of thought, beauty to the aesthetic sense, and goodness to the desirability of behavior. But accordingly, truth has actually been the domain of logic, beauty the domain of aesthetics, and goodness the domain of ethics. So these three important dimensions, logic, aesthetic, and ethics are the concerns of axiology. In other words, truth, what is right and what is wrong, what is false and what is true, is the maybe the domain of logic. So we can logically and rationally understand that what I believe is true or what I believe is false. So this is one aspect of axiology. The second aspect of axiology deals with aesthetics, and the aesthetics is mostly the domain of the emotion, the feelings, and the imagination. Or in that particular way, aesthetics tries to define what is beautiful, what is beauty, what is ugliness, and what are those standards which create beautiful, the very notion of beauty and the very notion of ugliness, conversely. And the last point is, according to author, is ethics or the goodness. So what is goodness? What is good human behavior? What is bad human behaviors? What is moral and what is immoral? Philosophy, by actually differentiating ethics from religion, from classical religion, or from performative religion that I earlier talked about, emphasizes that the notion of goodness may not necessarily come from religion. They do come from religion, but they may not necessarily come from religion absolutely. So it is possible that there are people and cultures and communities who do not have any religion as such, but they have certain ethical standards, or they have certain standards of goodness or badness, or the good conduct or the bad conduct. So that is actually the concern of ethics. So, and then coming to the explanation of these two notions, which the author calls as logic, truth, aesthetic, beauty, and ethics, goodness. The author further explains them. So on page number 13, the heading under the heading of logic, the author says that logic is a normative science which studies the laws of valid thinking. So, valid thinking. What is valid? What is plausible? So, what I told you earlier, and I am sure for the sake of understanding, I repeat that logic is philosophy does not deal with what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is false. Rather, philosophy's main concern is what is more plausible and valid explanation of a particular phenomena. So if you are offering a valid thought or a plausible understanding, then philosophy actually takes it as a logical explanation. So validity is of two kinds. Number one is formal validity and number two is material validity. So what is formal validity? Uh, Formal validity is actually based upon the deductive reasoning, whereas material validity is based upon inductive reasonings. I am sure, class, these are two very important words, the deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. So what is deductive? Deductive is actually that you are trying to deduce out of two prepositions or uh, two, two, two propositions, you are trying to deduce one significant formula. So in deductive reasoning, you actually move from अगर मुझे इसको explain आप करने दें, let me just give you a better explanation of what is deductive and what is inductive. So in deductive reasoning, we actually in which you actually move from one or more statements to reach a logical conclusion. और आप किस तरह logical conclusion में करते हैं? जैसे for example, one very pertinent example of deductive reasoning can be that if the premise is true, if the situation is true, then the conclusion may be true. अगर मैं इसको इस तरीके से समझाऊँ आपको कि you actually move from a simple statement to maybe a more generalized statement. By looking at one specific premise, you try to actually deduce certain meanings और उसके बाद और whereas in inductive reasoning what you do is